Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. It's me again, Chelsea, and today we're going to be doing our January wrap up, which is a little bit later than planned, but it's here anyways. We're going to try and get back into the habit of doing wrap ups for books because that's how I find that, and hauls really are how I find new books that I want to read. So I do like watching wrap ups, so I need to carry on making them because why not? This month I managed to read a total of 8 books, which is pretty good going for me if I do so myself. It is because predominantly I listened to a lot of audiobooks when I was away. I have found that actually when I am away doing my job in person, I can listen to a lot of audiobooks, so that is good for future knowledge. So yeah, total of 8 books this month. We're just going to run through what I read and I'll give you obviously my feedback and reviews. There wasn't many disappointments. I did read my first 5-star of the year though, so that was pretty cool. And yeah, let's just get straight on into it. So the first book I managed to read was City of Brass, with the aim to read Kingdom of Copper, which did not happen. Sorry, Kate. There were a few books actually on my TBR for January that I was meant to read. Kingdom of Copper, Shade of Madness, that I just have not finished. And I am midway through Shade of Madness. It just became very hectic on site, and then since coming back I just have not sat down to read. So February will be the month that I finish that book. I'm very sorry, Diego, for taking my time, but I will do a review when it's done. City of Brass, I loved this again. I gave it 4 stars. This is the first book in the Daevabad trilogy. I loved being back with these characters. It did kind of flash me back to pandemic times because that's when I read this the first time. And it's weird nostalgia kind of thing. But this book we are following our main character Nahari, who is kind of a con woman on the streets of Cairo. She speaks a language that no one else speaks, but she can pick up any other language that anyone speaks around her. And she can sense when people are sick. So she is running a con throughout Cairo, and one day she is conducting an exorcism essentially, and she decides to sing in the language that only she seems to know, and manages to summon a djinn, and then gets transported, or not transported but taken to the city of Daevabad. And I love this story so much. I love the first book. I can't wait to read the sequel, and I want to finish this series this year. That is my aim, and I've got Rivers of Silver on my shelf. I love the characters in this. In the first book we're following 2 different perspectives. One is Nahari and one is Prince Aliazard, who is a Daevabad local. But yeah, I just love it, and I love the characters. And I have read the second book already. I just wanted to restart the whole series and not just jump straight in. And yeah, it just hasn't happened with the finishing thing. But loved it, can't wait to carry on. It's a fantastic series. I love this. Next up, I read A Touch of Light, which is the first book to A Shade of Madness by Tiago Abdullah. Again, 4 stars. I really enjoyed this. This book we're following 3 different perspectives, I believe. So we are following Adrian, who is a prince. We are following Nasha, who is trying to find her place in a tribe, but is constantly kind of put back down because she isn't originally from this tribe. And then the third is Lynn. Lynn is a rogue elite warrior, and she I loved it. So I really enjoyed this story. I am really enjoying the sequel. The main thing about this book is that it is not only political but religious fantasy. So in this book, Adrian, his culture believes in the religion that death is never to be spoken of. Death is bad and wrong, and to speak about death is to like bring it on yourself. These people live for hundreds of years, and they believe it is due to their god, the Seraph. And obviously within this book as well, Adrian is only one part. Nasha believes that everything comes from the earth, so that's a slightly different take. And then Lynn is part of the same faith as Adrian. So it's really interesting to see these different sides of belief and religion, and testing that religion as well when things happen within this book that kind of make you question whether you're believing the right thing or not. I really like that because that's a pretty human thing. It's pretty realistic, and I really enjoyed reading it. So I loved this. This is a self-published book as well, and the sequel is already out if you want to check it out and read it faster than me. There is also a, what's it called, novella before this, which is a Prelude in Ashes, which is kind of like a backstory prequel to this one, which I read first, which really helped. So if you want to try that out first, then crack onto this. Why not? Next, I read Shadow of the Wicked, and I gave this 3 stars. It's alright. It's a very short book. I think that's partly why I only gave it 3 stars. I felt like it was a little bit rushed because it is such a short book. I listened to this audibly. I was very kindly gifted a copy as part of the Indie Ink Awards, and it follows 2 brothers who are trapped in 2 different kinds of torture. One is trapped in a labyrinth, and one is essentially tied to a table and is being tortured physically. And it's just, there's a lot of flashbacks between how they got there and what they believe. They both believe in different things. They have different, again, religious beliefs. It is tied in with magic. So one can actually perform magic and one hates magic because he knows that magic killed his family or his parents because they're brothers. And one of the brothers has a big dark secret about what happened that night. So it's just a lot. And I feel like it needed to be fleshed out and actually put into a book, not a novella, if that makes sense. So I was a little bit disappointed about that. Still a good book, but I wanted more. Then I managed to finish Illuminae by J. Kristoff and Amy Kaufman, or Amy Kaufman and J. Kristoff, whichever way around it is. 4 stars. Loved this. My favourite thing about this is the mixed media elements. I thought that was really good. I'm really looking forward to actually trying out the rest of the series now. I believe the second book follows different characters, but in this first book we are following mainly 2 characters. One is called Katie and one is called Ezra. I think it's Ezra. Yeah, it is. Terrible with names. So at the start of this book they are both sat in class and all of a sudden this invasion happens. So this is a sci-fi, is set in space. They are sat on a little tiny planet and this invasion kicks off and they are running for their lives trying to make sure they get on an escape shuttle. And this book covers a lot of things from grief to, you know, your first love and that sort of thing, and it's amazing. I really enjoyed it. It is amazing. There was something missing. Obviously 4 stars, not 5. But really loved it. And the twist at the end. There's a couple of twists in this book where it's kind of making you think one way when it's actually another. And I really enjoyed that. And I cannot wait to experience the end part of the story more. But like I said, I think the sequel follows different characters. So I'm not sure how I'm going to feel about that. But still excited. So once again they have done it. I love what Amy Kaufman and J. Kristoff write. I've read the Aurora Rising books 1 and 2. Again, need to finish that series, but again in that series I really enjoyed it. So I love this. And then from there I went on to reread Gurzel, which again was 4 stars, and to read Baden Hill. I read both of these audibly. I have read this book physically. I have not read this physically before. Very kindly gifted audio codes for both by the author Anonymous. 4 stars, both of them. Really enjoyed it. So again, Gurzel is a historical retelling with fantasy woven in. So Gurzel himself is a big dragon who's in charge of a death cult, and you know, he's trying to get all the sacrifices throughout the world, but he has his eyes set on one princess, Princess Sabra, and we do hear from her point of view as well. There are so many points of view, the main ones being Sabra, George, as in St. George, I'm pretty sure, and is that it? There's one, what's the other one? There's one that's, like the mistress of Gurzel as well, which is quite good. But there's other smatterings. We've got a bit of Arthur, we've got a bit of Morgana. It's really well done. And then we are introduced to even more characters in Baden Hill. I can't tell you much about Baden Hill because obviously that'll spoil this, but definitely check it out if you love it. I'm quoted on the back of this, which I still cannot believe, death cults and dragons mixed with British history that you need to read, and I still stand by that quote. I really like it. Again, the first 100 or so pages of this book, I wasn't sure if I was going to love it, but towards the end with the twists, I absolutely loved it. And then this, to me, is more action-packed, so I was straight in this story more so, which is why I enjoyed this a little bit more, I'd say, than this. Just because the world building had been done and we are still learning things, but the action is straight there, which is what I love. Another 3 stars was Weird Gods. I think I'm saying that right. I'll put a picture here for you. Again, I read this for Indie Ink Awards audibly, so I was gifted the audiobook. Mythology is not for me, is the thing I have come to learn. I am not a mythology gal. I do not enjoy it massively. There are some things that I enjoy. I think I like following the people in mythology, as in, like, I love a Hercules retelling, I think, or I love Hercules in general, but I am more of a folklore retelling, and I don't know if that's just me. I don't know, but that's just me. So in this story we're following gods doing god things, and I just wasn't interested. It's a good book. I can understand why people would enjoy it, which is why it's a 3 stars. It's an okay. The writing was beautiful. I really liked what the author did with the writing, but as a whole wasn't interested. So I don't know what else to say about that, but my first 5-star of the year was this book, which is Along the Razor's Edge by Rob J. Hayes. I loved this book so much. This book is so good. So in this book we're following our main character Esker, who is in prison, but not just any prison. It's like a mining prison. Reminded me a little bit of like Selena Sardothian's start in Throne of Glass, but a lot more brutal. I enjoyed it. It's grim, it's dark, it's there's like points of this book where as a female I actually really related, bearing in mind it's written by a man, and I don't say that lightly. There is a scene, I don't think it's spoilers, but there is a scene which is very relative to most young teenage girls' lives, and it was just, the awkwardness was felt, the disgust after the fact was felt, and it was just written so well, and I really appreciated that. So our main character is 16, and we are following from her point of view, so we get her thoughts, her feelings, how to things, to people, experiences, and it's so good. It's so good. But yeah, that one scene and like the feeling she goes through afterwards, I was like, oh yeah, that's pretty relatable for probably a lot of teens. Not everyone, but a lot of teens. So that was cool. But yeah, 5 stars. I cannot wait to continue this series. I probably will continue it audibly, although the hardbacks for this series are stunning, so maybe I'll invest. I don't know. But yeah, that's it for January. Those are the 8 books that I managed to read. I hope you have enjoyed it. If you did, please give it a like. Really supports me and my channel. Almost forgot my outro then. Leave me a comment down below of your favourite book that you read in the month of January. I really want to know. Let me know if I should be reading it, because I do take your recommendations on board. Obviously I have a lot of books to get through. If you haven't seen my physical TBR, I'll link it up here for you, because there are a lot of books. And yeah, I just need to actually start sitting down and reading my physical collection. But if you don't want to leave me a full comment and you just want to leave me an emoji, leave me any frozen emojis, because it's been quite cold here in the UK. And if you want to see more of me, please consider subscribing down below and ringing the notification bell to get notified every single time I upload new videos. I do upload on a Wednesday and on a Sunday, so be sure to stick around for more bookish content from me. But otherwise, that is everything for today's video. I hope you're having an amazing day. I'll see you soon in the next one. Bye.